everyone, and welcome back to another PS Vita video. And today we'll be talking about our SD card, a very important piece of hardware on our PS Vitas that stores all of our information, all of our games, all of our themes and plugins. And the two big problems that I'm coming across here that I'm sure that a lot of you are having is that number one, that the free space on my SD card is incorrect on my PS Vita. And for some reason, the free space is not the same as when it's connected to the PC. So right here, I have 114 gigabytes of free space. But on my PC, it's telling me I have like around 170 something gigabytes of free space. So that's a huge problem. Now, some of you might be saying, why is that a problem? If we just go through our PC and install the games, we should be fine. But here's the thing. If that free space reaches down to like 2 gigabytes and you're trying to download a 3 gigabyte game from like PKGJ, it's not going to let you. The PS Vita is not going to allow you to install more than what you should because you're losing that space. It's saying that you don't have enough space. And that shouldn't happen because you should have all the space you need, especially if for me, I have like 60 gigabytes just missing, and that's not good. So the problem is that the card is not properly formatted. And I found out that you need to use another cluster size format in order to do these higher memory cards to get that proper readout. And that's what we're going to be doing today. Now, the second issue that I'm having is that anytime I uninstall one of these PS Vita games, let's say, let's do a higher one. Let's do Killzone. So if I delete this, it's not going to completely delete from my SD card. Let's go and check the settings. And I'm still at 114 gigabytes. Now that's a problem. Usually when you uninstall these games and stuff, it should delete it right away, but it's not communicating very well with the SD card. And I noticed when I connect my SD card or my PS Vita to my PC, I see all these dead folders. And those are the games that I uninstalled, but that information is still being stored. And there's like a lot of gigabytes, a lot of megabytes just sitting there. And I'm really happy to have found out this issue. And that way we can discuss it here through this video. So the first thing we're going to do is connect our PS Vita to our PC and take a look at those folders that are dead. So let's go and connect it through USB connection. So let's go there. And I'm going to continue without scanning. Let's go to our desktop. All right, so here is our SD card. Before we look at those dead folders, I want you to look at the properties and go to your free space on your memory card. I have 174 gigabytes of free space. What is going on there? So that's why we have to reformat our card. I already backed up everything on my SD card. So what I'll do is reformat the card. I will add everything back to the card and then go through and delete stuff slowly. I don't want to just completely format and restart from scratch. So I recommend you guys do the method that I'm going to do here today. Now let's go and find those dead folders. Let's go into the app folder and let's blow everything up. So you can see that there are these dead folders, right? And if you go to properties, it's telling us that the size is 2.90 gigabytes and the size on the disk is 2.92 gigabytes. If we go in here, everything looks dead. Let's see if we can open this folder. Let's see if we can open this picture. Now what we have to do is delete these folders. Let's grab these right here. And we're going to delete. But before we do, I want to make sure that we see that change right away. So we're at 174 gigabytes of free space and 64.2 gigabytes used. Let's go back to our app And let's select all of these folders, and we're going to hit the delete. And it says, are you sure you want to permanently delete these 8 items? Say yes. And here we have a message saying the file is a system file. If you remove it, Windows or another program may no longer work correctly. Are you sure you want to permanently delete it? Say yes for all. And that's a lot of items that are not showing up here. That is a lot. And some of these games are hard to track because they're using like some kind of weird folder name like PCSA and all these other numbers like 00096, 00042, so on and so forth. Now let's go back to our USB drive properties. And we were at 64 gigabytes. So now we're at 57.7 gigabytes. And we have 180 gigabytes left. Perfect. Now let's reconnect our PS Vita. Alright, so I just resetted my console there. Let's check out our settings. And our PC told us we had 180 gigabytes of free space. Let's check out system info. And now we have 127 gigabytes because we deleted all that stuff. But we're still missing so much space, and that's when we have to reformat our SD card. And this is going to suck for a lot of us, but we're going to have to do this in order for our memory card to pick up on that missing space. Let's begin on formatting our SD card. So let's remove our SD card from our console. We're going to power this off. And here is my SD card ready to go. And let's change to our desktop here. And I will connect my SD card to my USB dongle. If you don't have one of these babies, I'll have a link in the description. It's very cheap, very reliable, and it has 2 different slots, and it works great. I always get this message when it comes to connecting my SD card to the PC, whether it's from USB connection or through the USB dongle. It always says to scan and fix the USB drive. Now, I'm guessing that the problem is that it's not properly formatted and it doesn't like all that information on the card. So it's just not working right. They're not playing well together. And that's why I keep seeing this error message. And I'm guessing that's what it is, right? Because we're not seeing that free space on our Vita and we clearly have it on our PC. So I'm just going to continue without scanning. Okay, so our SD card is completely connected. And you want to back up everything you have on your SD card. Just make sure to have some space on your PC to do that. For me, it was about 52 gigabytes or so. It wasn't too bad. 57 gigabytes, so it wasn't too bad of a transfer or copy over to the PC. It took around like 3, 4, 5 minutes. Not too bad. Now, I want you guys to download 2 different things. We're going to be download the Win32 disk imager. So let's hit the download, the green button here. And it should start downloading within 5 seconds. There we go. And the second link, we're going to be downloading the Blank.img file. So hit the download. And the Google Drive can't scan this file for viruses, just download anyway. And let's keep. Install the Win32 disk imager and run it as an administrator. And right away, it should select your SD card. Make sure it is that drive. So my USB drive is USB drive H. Whoops. Hit the wrong button there. And we have to find our image. So go to the zzblank.img, select that and open. And we're going to write. So writing to a physical device can corrupt the device. Are you sure you want to continue? Say yes. Write successful. Very good. And now we're going to disconnect our SD card and we're going to reconnect it. And now we're going to get this message saying you need to format the disk in drive H before you can use it. So let's format disk. And we want to use the exFAT default. And we're going to be doing the 64 kilobytes. And we can use the quick format. So hit that. Hit yes. And the format is now complete. So let's hit the close. And our USB drive should be completely wiped clean. So let's go to properties, and we have a total of 238 gigabytes of free space. Our next step is to copy our entire PS Vita backup. So let's open that up, and we're going to hit the Control A, and I'm going to drag this into our newly formatted SD card. We have 65,000 items to go. So hopefully this doesn't take too long. Just sit back, relax. Wow, 2 hours and 45 minutes. Okay, I guess it is going to take some time. Well, I'll see you guys in 3 hours. The transfer has been completed after an hour. And it kept jumping around from like 2.5 hours to like 15 minutes to 30 minutes to an hour. But it finally got through it. I guess when it reads certain files, it's thinking that it's going to take much longer. I don't know how that works, but that's my guess. But we're now going to connect our SD card into our SD to Vita adapter. So let's hit the right click on here and eject. I was going to hit format there for a second. That wouldn't be good. And let's add this bad boy in here. Our PS Vita is completely turned off. We have blown up the camera. The camera is not that good when it's blown up, but it works for now. We're going to add our SD card to our PS Vita like that. And we're going to power it on. Kind of hard to show on the camera there because I have the light very bright. And you should see a new message saying updating database. Do not power off the system. And for me, it's going to take about a minute to finish with around 60 or so gigabytes of information on that little SD card. Okay, my system is finished rebuilding here, and everything should be working like before. So all of my Homebrew apps, all of my utilities, my plugins should be working, and my PS4 controller is controlling the PS Vita, which is great. That's a very, very good sign. Now let's check out our settings and take a look at that storage capacity. Let's go down to system information, and now we see the 177 gigabytes of free space. Beautiful. That's great. That is amazing. Now let's try out one of our applications here. Let's go to the Homebrew browser. Okay, we are connected. Perfect. That is very good to see that my Homebrew browser store is working as it should. And let's check out Vita Shell. Let's open that up. My UXO is showing 60.93 gigabytes of content on the SD card. That looks very, very good. Now, to finalize everything, we're going to test some of these PS Vita games, because sometimes you may have to reinstall it. Like, let's check out Killzone Mercenary. Yeah, so insert a PS Vita card that contains the application. A few things you can try if that's not working, and I have been having a lot of issues with these PS Vita games not properly starting up, and it says please insert card. So let's go to the Vita shell. Let's press triangle and let's refresh our live area. It shouldn't take too long, even though it's saying it will take a very long time. But it shouldn't take more than like 30 seconds. So 0 items refreshed. We can also refresh our license database. Let's do that. This sometimes works. And less than 15 seconds there, 0 imported licenses. So that might be an issue with Killzone. Let's try it again and see what we can do here. So some of your games may have come back like that, and I've been having this issue for a very long time, so I think it's just me. But you shouldn't be having this problem. Before, we did delete those dead folders, and I'm gonna start deleting apps and identify those folders again. So I'll show you guys that it does indeed do that for you. What's a big game that I can delete? Let's do Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Let's delete that one. Ooh, Uncharted is a good one. But before we do that, I'm going to start Uncharted, because I know this is one of the games that was working with no issues. And there we go. So yeah, my SD card was just not, it wasn't very good. It wasn't communicating very well with my Vita. And I had to rebuild the database. And something happened in the past where, I don't know, one day it just didn't want to work, and I had to rebuild the database like 3-4 times, and I actually had to redo the SD card, like SD to Vita adapter setup. So that was a big problem. Let's go back to Uncharted and delete this one. I know this is a beefy guy. So 3000 megabytes, that's 3 gigabytes there. Let's delete this one. And let's check out our settings and see if it did delete this properly. So now we have 180 gigabytes. So I am guessing that the format that we did, the cluster size, did also fix that issue where we're deleting these applications, but it's not completely removing it from the SD card. I'm going to continue to delete stuff here. And this is great if it is going to do what it should be doing when you're going through all of the stuff on your XMB and deleting it from there. You shouldn't have to go in Vita shell to delete any files unless you do have some more little files I'm going to talk about here shortly that may cause a little bit of a problem. Not a whole lot, but we're going to look at it. We deleted that one. Okay, let's go back to settings and see what we got. And I'm hoping that the information on our SD card is showing us that same result. So 181 gigabytes. I guess those games are not that big. Now let's go to our Vita shell and see the amount we have there. So it was at 60. Now we have 56.66 gigabytes. Perfect. Our last test we're going to do is connect our PS Vita to our PC via USB connection. But before we do that, I also wanted to show you guys another thing that you may have a lot of, and that's these little files that get stored anytime you have a error message pop up. So let's go into app, or actually let's go into data. It's going to be under data. So scroll all the way down, and you're going to see all these PSP2 core files. There's a lot of them, and they're going to be in the KB sizes. So these are errors that occurred, and basically what happens is when an error occurs, the PS Vita will save that code and that message or whatever in a file on your SD card, and this is what's going on here. So this one has an exception of a data abort exceptions. So something happened where I tried to load a game and then it just kicked me out and gave me an error, and then it saved it into the SD card. So the thread name was from the Flycast. This was the Flycast emulator, the Dreamcast emulator. And let's see, retroarchvita.elf. Interesting. You may have a bunch of these, so you can go ahead and start deleting them. You're not going to save like a ton of space, but it's something, right? It's something, and it cleans up your SD card. And you can go on your PC just to select them all and delete it. But make sure it's the PSP2 core file. Don't delete anything else in here. I wouldn't delete the runtime 1.00. That's for your ported games. Make sure you don't delete any of this other stuff. Don't delete the IMG UI, Connect 4, config, bootstrap. Just make sure you're deleting those PSP2 core files. Please don't delete anything else in this folder. It's very, very important that you don't mess with anything else in here. So just be careful. Now, onto the PC connection. There we go. And let's go to our desktop. Look at that. It popped up right away and I didn't get that scan and repair message. Perfect. So let's go to app and see if we have some dead folders. So we do have some dead folders. Let's check out one of them. And this one is giving me 155 megabytes. Let's take a look at another one here. Whoops, I renamed that. Properties. And the Uncharted folder had 3,000, correct? 3,000 megabytes. And these other games, I guess, were just not that large. And I'm not sure where this is coming from or how this is possible. Here it is. Perfect. So it is those games that we are deleting. This one is 3.10 gigabytes. This is the Uncharted game. Now our SD card was telling us that we did save some space, and also our system information was showing us that change also. Now I'm not sure why these are still here, but what we're going to do is select those. Let's delete them. And I know for a fact that these are the games I started deleting because when I did the transfer, I had no dead folders whatsoever. They were all done for. They were all deleted. And once I started uninstalling or deleting those from the XMB homepage, we started to see these folders show up. And I can confirm that with the 3 gigabyte folder that we looked at, and that was the Uncharted game. So let's delete those. Before we do, let's check our USB drive. Let's go to properties, and we have 56.6 gigabytes of used space. Okay. All right, let's go back to our app and grab those dead folders. Let's delete those. Delete 7. We're going to get an error, or not an error, but a message saying, do you want to permanently delete these? Because let's see, it is a system file. If you remove it, Windows or another program may no longer work correctly. Do this for all current items. Hit yes. And it was about 3.33 gigabytes. Wow, so we're going to save an extra 3 gigabytes? Interesting. Let's go to properties. And yes, we did save some more space. So now we're at 53.2 gigabytes of used space, along with 185 of free space. Wow. Okay. Let's now go back on our PS Vita and reconnect it. I will have to restart my system though, so it can work through the plugin here. Fully restarted and ready to go. Let's check Vita shell, because that's the first thing we'll see when we disconnect from USB connection. So yes, 53.25 gigabytes. That is very good. Very, very good. And go into settings. Check our system information. 185 is the number we're looking for. And we have 185. Finally repaired our SD card. I'm so happy that it's finally done. It's been long overdue, and I've been wanting to do this for a very, very long time. I just been lazy, and the first time I recorded this video, I realized that I wasn't recording my voice over, so I got frustrated and I just gave up. So I'm very glad that I finally got this video done for you guys, and I hope it was helpful. And I'm sure it was helpful for a lot of you that have been facing this issue. I know this is a very common problem, and I guess when you're deleting these PS Vita games, go to your PC and make sure, double check that those are completely removed. That way you're saving a lot more space and you can add more games to your console, to your collection. And I'll be going through and revisiting all of my apps, see what I don't use, clean it up. So that is it for this one. I know this was a little bit longer than usual of my videos, but I really wanted to cover everything possible with the SD card, especially with someone who already has everything installed on your SD card. You can see that you don't have to worry about losing any of your information. All you have to do is just back it up to your PC and then copy it over to your newly formatted SD card, and you're all good to go. Now, if you have any questions or you come across any more issues with your SD card, please leave me a comment section down below so we can start getting a whole community thing backed up here on the video. That way we can help each other out with problems and we can communicate with each other, and I'll also try to answer as many questions as I can. And I really do appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and I'm pretty sure you did if you're having the same issue as I did. So if you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe so you can see more of Samus and her glory on my PS Vita screen, and for more awesome content like this. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.